It is not unreasonable to assume that a new version of a product is better than the old version, but is this really also the case here? We will find out after the drop. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at an Airbus A319-100 of Lufthansa. At the front of the box we have a lovely image of the aircraft in real life, above which we find the Lufthansa branding. And the lovely box design is continued on the backside, where we have a rendition of the aircraft on display. Very nicely done from Herpa Wings. But the most important detail of the box I almost glanced over, as it is rather well hidden, and it is the fact that this model is a limited edition. This does not mean that the model won't be produced in large quantities, but it does mean that there will only be one production batch. And regardless if this model will be popular or not with customers, once this production batch has sold out, there won't be another one. And here she is, the Airbus A319-100 in the standard livery of Lufthansa with the Lu&Cosmo stickers applied. Lu&Cosmo are two mascots of the airline that they're using in promoting the airline to kids. Lu is actually a crane, which of course is also the bird that is actually on display on the Lufthansa branding. This is, however, not the first time that Herpa has made a model of this specific aircraft, as they some years ago already made it with the, at the time, standard livery of the airline. But now we have it in the new livery, so let's take a closer look to see what it has to offer. And we start off with the tail section, or more specifically with the vertical stabilizer, where we have the Lufthansa branding. However, in my opinion, the blue is still a bit too dark in its tone. On the fuselage, we then find the full registration code of the aircraft, the German flag and the flag of the European Union, as well as the little Cosmo mascot. On top of the fuselage, we then have the addition of the SAT dome, which I think Herpa has done rather nicely in this case. And then at the very tail of the aircraft, we do also have some detailing around the APU exhaust. Then at the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we have the writing of Lufthansa, into which the mascot of Lu has been incorporated. We do also have the name of the aircraft. In this case, the aircraft is named after the German city of Verden. We have the Star Alliance logo, of which Lufthansa, of course, is a founding member. And underneath the cockpit windows, we then again have the Lufthansa branding. And then we have the cockpit section, which in my opinion is rather disappointing. We have the cockpit windows and the window wipers printed on, but no other printed details that belong to the aircraft type. But more disappointing for me is actually the shape of the mold. Hideous would perhaps be a bit too strong, but we are getting close to that. Another part of the aircraft model that desperately could have benefited from more printed details are the engines, or more specifically the engine nacelles. They have been kept in all white, just as most of the fuselage, and have the silver leading edge, and that's about it. And that is rather disappointing. Where Herpa is doing much better, or actually rather well, is the physical detailing of the engines. That is very nice, especially when we look into the engines from the front, where we very nicely can see the engine fan blades. Then on the fuselage, just above the wings, we have the emergency exit printed on, which leads us straight to the wings, which in my opinion probably is the best part of the aircraft. If we take a look here at the top side, we can see the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out very nicely. We have the marking for the emergency exit, and we have the small Lu&Cosmo mascots printed on as well. Also, the underside of the wing looked very nice. But my favorite part are the wingtip fences, which I think Herpa by now have perfected. A much more mixed experience for me is the landing gear. It is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all the Airbus A320 family aircraft models. That's not a problem for the main landing gear, because I think that actually looks rather nice. But to call the front landing gear true to scale is, honestly speaking, just absurd. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here in the back of the aircraft, and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Airbus A319-100 of Lufthansa with the special Lu&Cosmo stickers applied to the standard livery of the airline from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? To be honest, I think this aircraft model is a letdown from Herpa Wings, because the older version is frankly much better. But I have reviewed the older version back in 2016, and I will leave a link to that in the description below, and it should also pop up right now in the top right corner. So I invite you to check that out and make up your own mind. But there are actually a few reasons why I think this aircraft model is disappointing. Because while the print quality overall is actually rather nice, this does not seem to have applied for the main characters of the aircraft, Lu and Cosmo. Especially Cosmo seems to have gotten the worst of it, as the character is extremely grainy in the print. But okay, perhaps Herpa just couldn't print it any better, and we will just have to live with that. But what I find much more hard to live with is actually the shape of the cockpit. And I know, I did say that hideous would be a bit too harsh, but honestly speaking, I am struggling to find other words to describe the cockpit shape, especially combined with the really bad front landing gear. And it is frankly just ridiculous that a model that I reviewed in 2016 but had been produced by Herpa Wings in 2011 wipes the floor with its successor released from Herpa Wings in 2021. And it is especially a shame given that it is the first A319 in the new livery that we get in scale 500, and I'm sure I'm not the only collector who very much was looking forward to an A319 in the new livery. But at least it's not all bad. I mean, the wings on this model are better than with its predecessor. So with this last uplifting detail of the model, it is time to end today's episode. If you have enjoyed the video, then don't forget to leave a like, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye. I mean, the thing looks like a toy. This is not a die-cast model, true to scale. Really? It's a glorified toy. Shoot, the mic is still open.